Afternoon, everybody. This is Susan Bassey. I'm going to wait a few minutes for everyone to come in. And I am at the law office of a private judge. I'm not sure how to pronounce this name. It's Stanley Bartelme. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But we just went in there and we are auditing all the private judges in Santa Clara County to see if they're following the law. So I'm going to wait a minute and see if anybody's going to come in, and then I will start. Hi, Rue Yeti, can you let me know if the sound's okay? I appreciate you being in here. Rank Dog Farms, can you hear me okay? I'm going to do a little flip around here. Good afternoon, you guys. I do have my old headset in, and I am near a very busy street. And I want to give a shout out because someone sent me a new mic today and I was supposed to use it, but it did require charging and I didn't get it charged enough to be able to use it. So hopefully you can hear me okay on this. And I just want to say, first of all, we hit 72,000 subscribers over the weekend, and that's really exciting. And I really appreciate every single one of you. And I appreciate every time you send me a comment and you say, I've been with you since you started, and when I met San Joaquin Valley Transparency. So I just want to give a shout out. This is an Each One Teach One, and we're doing it from sea to shining sea. But I am going to be laser focused on private judging because you all keep asking about it, and I want to show you my work while I'm doing it. So I am in San Jose, California on Taylor Street at the law offices of an attorney who claims to be a private judge. And this is noticed at the court as the private judge's courthouse. So that's like Jeffrey Blum in Los Gatos, who when I went to his private judging offices, he slammed the door on me and told me that I couldn't record, it was against the law, and he's threatened me with a cease and desist letter when I was reporting on his code enforcement things. So all of this is tied to the network of private judging, which very few people knew about, but it stands to do a lot of harm to individuals. Hi, Real Jingy, super nice to see you in here. Sorry if that was loud in all of your ears. I always really appreciate each and every one of you, all 72,000 subscribers. We're going to keep going because I'm bringing you along on my private judging investigations. So we just went in there, and I'll make a video about it later, but this is an attorney who has a lot of cases listed at the courthouse. And in 2015, when I first understood the law that applies to private judging, I know what attorneys have to do. So let me explain the process to you a little bit because they're not doing it. And we are going office by office to see which attorneys are following the law and which aren't. And there's a lot of attorneys in this whole private judging racket. And it is a racket. That's what it is. It's when two attorneys convince their clients to use another attorney as a judge. So now you're paying 3 attorneys in the case. And the law says you can't appoint a private judge in a case where one party is representing themselves. But what we find is that over and over again, attorneys will get a private judge appointed, and the private judge, it's rigged from the get-go. And when they start ruling against the other party and it's very clear that it's unfair, then the attorney for that losing party will substitute out, and the winning attorney and their client are left, and the private judge remains in the case, even though the spirit of the law is you can't be using 2 attorneys to beat up on somebody and also getting one of those attorneys paid as if they're a judge. It's just legalized bribery. A cartel of gangsters is right, whoever just made that comment. So here's what has to happen when you get a private judge. Your attorneys will tell you, oh, it's going to save you time and expense instead of going to public court. And for those who go to public court, you know that it is all about continuances that last forever and ever, and delays. And each time you pay your attorney to go to those hearings, and the hearings get delayed, nothing gets done. And then attorneys and judges seem to be so incompetent these days that when they write orders, it seems very difficult to enforce them. You have to go back to court to get them clarified and enforced. So the public court system is really broken and dysfunctional. And so the attorneys prey on that, convincing their clients that it will be cheaper and faster to use a private judge. And we've been following the outcomes. Thank you very much, Sevenfold 777. I very much appreciate that. And so we are following the cases and what the clients were told. And almost all of them are told that private judging will be cheaper and faster than using public court. Well, when we get into these private judging cases, not only is it cheaper and faster, but we find some of these cases, if you remember, I did that malpractice case against the attorney that put his client into private judging. The case was filed in 2016, and the guy still wasn't divorced by 2025, and he had private judge Michael Smith. So we're going to go attorney by attorney and county by county through this little racket and see how many attorneys are following the law and how many are violating rights. So when an attorney is paid to be a private judge, they're supposed to act like a judge. They are supposed to know the law, they're supposed to be fair, and the issue of paying them is already a problem because these attorneys are getting paid $100,000 per case. So this attorney, Mr. Stanley here, he has lots of cases listed at the courthouse. And even if he's not making $100,000 off each of one of them, it's probably unlikely he's not making at least $20,000. So we're talking these attorneys who have no training as a judge and are already buddies with the other attorneys in the case and don't really know the law. They've never demonstrated a lack of being biased. They could be easily making anywhere, we've calculated through the documents we've gotten, that they could be making anywhere from $300,000 to $3 million a year as private judges. And a public court judge is only paid by taxpayers $220,000. And a judge, a source of mine, told me when reflecting on private judging that it feels like his other colleagues, other judges sitting on the bench, were always trying out for private judging. And so what that means is a public court judge can often, they're not, in Santa Clara County, $220,000 is basically what cops make that. Entry-level police officers make that, and the higher they go, they make double and triple that. And so expecting a judge to live on pay that is below an entry-level cop is a little bit of a break in our system. And so these judges have to make money after their public service ends. And so a lot of them do go into private judging, but they go into the big businesses, which are jams, ADR services, and they're actually businesses. And so the best way to think of private judging is to think of it like private equity. When hedge funds and big investors go in and buy something, that's what's happening with our courts, is that these attorneys are buying judge businesses and then they're running them, but they're not following the law, they're not paying their business taxes. And we just went in and confirmed at this private judge's office, there's nowhere they're posting hearings. He has an office, not a conference room, so his office doubles as the courtroom. He's probably taking all kinds of tax write-offs for that. And next thing we're going to check is whether or not he has a business license to even conduct business, because we find a lot of times attorneys don't even bother to get a business license and pay their basic taxes. So we're going to continue to show you what private judges are supposed to do, and then we're going to look for the judges and the attorneys that are actually doing it, because so far we haven't found any. So I do want to say this about our reporting on private judging. When I first, and this will drop in a video either later tonight or tomorrow morning, but when I first started investigating private judging, I knew that all of the private judging cases were not being posted at the courthouse. And the reason that's important is when you file for divorce, it's a public record. The public has a right to oversee that, to oversee the custody evaluators, to oversee the minors counsel and the private judges to oversee that everything is fair and that the courts are working. And so when attorneys come in and grab those cases out of public court and put them into these little offices like this, they have to follow some rules. They have to notice the public that they've done that, so that if you go looking for the case, you know now to look here instead of at the courthouse. And they also have to follow certain rules about signing an oath. They have to promise that they're going to comply with the Code of Judicial Ethics. And they also have to file documents and maintain these court documents in a very special way. And when we were in here, it just looked like a group of attorneys, and they said he didn't even have a secretary. So how is it that a private judge is able to comply with the law on court documents if they don't have a secretary or a clerk like you get in the public court? So we're going to continue to follow the money, and we're going to be looking at attorneys acting as or posing as private judges, and we're going to tell you what they're doing and what they're not doing that is compliant with the law. Because these people are making way too much money, not paying their taxes, and the orders that are coming out of private judges are really harming individuals. And so we're going to work on transparency and accountability for private judging, and that's what I wanted to make this live stream about today. So I really appreciate all of you coming in. I wanted to give a shout out for the microphone I got sent yesterday, and I also wanted to give a shout out for the 72,000 subscribers that we've now reached on this channel. And I couldn't have done that without all of you and you showing an interest in that. So we're going back to how journalism, private judging, and we're going to continue on our nonprofit WomenSV investigation, and I'm going to bring you guys along as I do the work. And that may mean popping in a live stream to show you another private judge not following the law. So I'll go back and read all your comments later, because I am doing 2 or 3 things at once. I actually do have Puppy with me, and she's in the earlier videos, but I also have backup camera people, and they are walking Puppy right now. So, and one of them is a professional dog walker, and she walks Puppy, so that's a little added bonus. I also want to talk about that we just went to the Court of Appeal, and we're going to be talking about a juvenile dependency criminal case and minors counsel and how that was related to family law. We're going to go back over privacy and those issues that affect you in the courts and how those create barriers for you. But I do want to say that Judge Manoukian is officially retired. Her picture is off the wall in the Court of Appeal. And as a reporter, I personally had Judge Manoukian in my personal divorce case. I also recorded her at the Inns of Court and her little conflicts of interest. Reporters, it is our job to report the facts, but when we see things that are really, really bad, we can give an opinion. And in my opinion, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened for our criminal courts and our family courts that Judge Manoukian is now officially retired. She started as an Orange County prosecutor, and for those of you down in Orange County who know how bad that county is with their informants and snitches, and there was the big case of Judge Ferguson down there unliving his wife. Orange County is as much of a hotbed as Santa Clara County is. And so when we're done doing our full private judge investigation here, we're going to Orange County, we're going to LA, and we're going to San Diego. So we're going to bring you along, we're going to show you the work, we're going to show you how the law is supposed to work and why it's not. And today, that includes this private judge in San Jose who is not following the law, and we documented that on our camera. So thank you very much, you guys, and look for lives as we keep doing the work. It is going to rain this week, so that kind of addresses, we're whiny out here in California, and so when it rains, it affects how we are going to be able to do our outside work. But we're going to keep going, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you for the 72,000 subscribers. I appreciate all the time that you spend here with me.